Hey, church family, thanks for joining us for this week's last Daily Devotional, Friday morning or afternoon or whenever it may be for you. I hope that as you read this, as we look at the character of God, that you're encouraged throughout the rest of your day and pumped for the weekend and pumped for Sunday to get back together and us worship together, whether that be online or whether that be in person. And so we're going to finish up our look in Colossians chapter 1, looking at the centrality of Christ. There, we're going to be looking in verses 19 and 20. So Paul writes there, "For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, and through him to reconcile everything to himself, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross." So we know that the person that Paul's talking about there, he's talking about Jesus, and he's saying that God was pleased to dwell in Jesus fully. I think that's simple for us to understand. Even the next section, when he says he's pleased that all things would be reconciled through Christ, whether on heaven or on earth, that all things would be made right through Christ. And so God's pleased at that. Those are easy for us to understand why God would be pleased from those things. But it's that last section that sometimes it can be difficult for us to understand when he says that he's pleased, right? God is pleased that all things will be reconciled, whether heaven or on earth, through his blood. God was pleased at the sacrifice of Jesus, the sacrifice of his son. Does that mean that God desired, that God wanted to have to sacrifice his son? No, I mean, no father wants to sacrifice his son. And while we need to be careful not to humanize God, because he's not human, right? He's the creator of humans. But surely there's sadness, there's mourning in sacrificing his son. But while there's sadness, while there's mourning, God was also pleased in it. And I think we get a perfect picture of God's character in this moment when we read that he was pleased to make peace between man and himself through the blood of Christ. I think that character shows that he's a loving God, that he's a God who was willing to make sacrifices for us. God loved us so much that he sent his son to die on the cross for us. And it pleased him to have that debt paid, to have that sin debt paid so that we could be reconciled back to him and we could be made right in his eyes. So I hope that as you go throughout today, that you'll be appreciative of the sacrifice that Christ made for us, but that also we would put into perspective the character of God, the love that God has for us, that he so desired to be that we would be able to have a right relationship with him, that it pleased him to have that sacrifice paid by his son. So our author gives us a couple of questions for us to look at. So the first one is, in your own words, what pleases God? In your own words, what is pleasing to God based on what we've read here in verses 19 and 20? And then lastly, why did it please God that Jesus shed his blood? And so I know that I've kind of already given you the answer to that, but I hope that you'll think about that a little deeper. Why does it please God? You know, a lot of times it helps me to write those things down. It helps me really comprehend and apply those things. So maybe take a moment and write down, why does it please God that Jesus shed his blood for us? As you're working on that, as you're thinking on the love of God, the sacrifice of Christ, and our need to be obedient to him and put God first in our life, church family, I want you to know that we love you and we're praying for you.